It's not. There's no point in blaming our poor scientists.
Yeah.
You can't.
It's not possible.
So when you can't predict it, why do you operate on something that is not predictable? Why do you assume that this is not going to happen?
One thing I wanted to get into, and I wanted to ask you specifically, Jay, because I believe right now recently you've gone to the Northeast. I know that, and something that I find in my travels that there is a huge lack of political will when it comes to issues like dams in Arunachal or stopping the different kinds of mining in Meghalaya. Do you think a lot of this comes down to the lack of political will in ensuring to create systems which will stand the test of time?
There is in fact a huge amount of political will against it.
Okay.
I mean, the political will is clearly for more dams, more mining, and there is no doubt there that there is a degree of connivance of state power and big money, because these absurd goals like 50,000 megawatts in 10-15 years in Arunachal and only on Brahmaputra Valley, anyone can say that it is a disastrous idea. Even China probably, apart from their three gorges and the other dam they keep talking about at the Tiger Leaping Gorge, I haven't come across such monstrous ideas anywhere else in the world. And if you remember, for the last 8 years, all chief ministers of Arunachal, they have kept the portfolio with them. Electricity is the chief minister's portfolio. Yeah. And still, if it is happening, then it's obviously there is strong political will to build these dams.
Sopan, political will, is there any?
There is immense political will, and there is also a great political consensus that this is the only way. Because our politics is has started following a strange calendar. Nobody has the guts to invest in any kind of long-term politics. Everybody is thinking of short-term gains because actually everybody knows that the political options are all the same. So when you get in with your chance, make hay while you're there, while the sun shines. There is absolutely no difference between the BJP or the Congress. Nobody can say that if the current Congress disposition goes and the BJP comes to power or a third front comes to power, this will change. This will not change, because that has become the nature of our politics. And our politics actually has no room at all for good ideas. It is a political system that is knowledge proof. No knowledge can infiltrate it. No common sense can infect it. It follows the simple logic of short-term power. And for that, you have to please a lot of people. Hopefully people who have money. Now, if you're in the business of pleasing people who have a lot of money, you have to make a lot of concessions for them. Where is the room there to do sensible things, to have good norms, to have good laws which are implementable? So, political will, of course there's lots of it, and all of it is in one direction. It's heading in the direction of the flood. So, yes, we should be prepared to do more of these stories.
Taking from that, I just wanted to get into what can we do? If we're, from what you guys are saying, we're against the wall and expecting a flood to come. So how do we solve that problem? How do we move ahead?
I think that, again, the common sense factor, that rivers are supposed to overflow. Every monsoon, every river overflows. It should. And it overflows and it sweeps away whatever are there on both banks, and it leaves good soil. And this trade-off worked all around the world, that people will sacrifice a bit and they will gain good harvest. Now this common sense, this traditional system, we are screwing it up in last 2-3 decades. And there, I don't think it takes great understanding or political will or anything. It's just, we need to pause and just think. And by we, I don't mean the politicians or the scientists or the industrialists, even the farmer who was there, who was holding on to his land and not building something valuable close to the river, because he knew that water will come and he will lose it. But now he's doing it because he is earning money for giving his land. Now this is also a question of individuals, and I can only hope that with time, these long-term concerns, will outweigh the short-term gain. But it doesn't show any sign as yet.
Atul, you were talking about systems that we need to create. You were talking about the lack of having a early warning system, or I mean, the system that exists isn't able to predict it. What do you think? What are the things that we can do to prevent things like this happening in the future?
इलाज उसी में कि अगर वहाँ पे देखा जाए जो लोग रहते हैं वो उन लोगों ने अपने नेचुरल उसके साथ तालमेल बिठाने के बहुत छोटे बहुत सारे तरीके ईजाद कर रखे हैं। जैसे ये जब चल रहा था तो गौरीकुंड में जो फंसे हुए लोग थे उन लोगों का कल बयान तो वो लोग कहते हैं कि गांव वालों ने इतना बढ़िया सिस्टम बना रखा था। जैसे जो लोग बच गए, कैसे 5-7 हज़ार लोग बच गए कि उन लोगों को ये कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम था इशारों में। पूरे गांव में वो रात में जैसे ही मतलब वहाँ से वो लैंडस्लाइड होती थी तो वो इशारों में कुछ एक म्यूज़िक उन्होंने बना रखा वो निकालते थे, तो जिससे पता चल जाता था और सारे लोग उस समय पूरी तरह से अलर्ट हो जाते थे पूरी रात। इस तरह से पूरी रात तो इस तरह के छोटे बहुत सारे सिस्टम उन गाँव में हैं। उन लोग जो लोग वहाँ रहते हैं उन चीज़ों को समझ के, अदरवाइज बाहर से जाके केवल हस्तक्षेप करना कि यहाँ हम गए और अपने एक हफ्ते के लिए बहुत सारी चीज़ों को तहस नहस करना, यहाँ से जाके प्रॉब्लम शुरू होती। तो उस पर अपनी उन चीज़ों पे थोड़ा सा रोक लगा के वहाँ जो चीज़ें मौजूद हैं उसके साथ तालमेल सभी मतलब वो तो 100 साल से पुराना एकदम वेल टेस्टेड है ना, उसके हिसाब से रहना, उसके हिसाब से इस्तेमाल करना, ये मतलब मेरे ख्याल से एक वो हो सकता है।
Sopan, you've also been advocating, I mean, local knowledge is the key. But what do you think are the systems that we can put in place to prevent something like this happening again? I mean, how do we counter a situation like this arising?
See, first, go back to your question about hope. There is hope, but there isn't hope for everybody. And there is definitely not hope within the political system. There are good things happening all around us. It's just that we don't tend to notice it because the good things that happen don't have their press agents and they don't send press releases to us. But there are good things happening. There are people who can still operate on common sense. Now, the best thing about a political system is it doesn't allow anybody to become a tyrant over time. We have the ability to throw people out of power. That's the best thing about it. Now, to expect everything from the political system, I think, is a bit much. I think it's great that we have the ability to vote out people when they get intolerable, right? That's a good thing. Let's keep it there. How to implement these things? Essentially, find out how people lived in those areas. We have something called a knowledge commission. The trouble is that when you talk about, Jay said there's no one way to live across this country. You know, there never was an ISI mark standard of living.
Yeah.
Right? People saw their area, they figured it out, they found ways to live there. It's a very important lesson to remember. Just like everything is not level. We have 8,000 meters and within a few 100 kilometers you're at sea level. Right? Yeah. So, all these things were locally negotiated. The knowledge was local. Now the problem is, it's still around, but the adjectives that we need to use it, because we've assumed that knowledge is something that I approve of. So if there's something that you call knowledge, I'm not going to recognize it. So if villagers have a way of telling that we're likely to have a flood this season, it'll be called indigenous knowledge, because it is not just knowledge. Right? These are highly contentious terms. I mean, for the monsoon is the longest studied weather phenomenon in the world. We still don't know how to predict it, and we call that knowledge. But if villagers have a bunch of ways to tell what's going to happen in that area, that's indigenous knowledge. So we ought to watch our adjectives a little. Now there are lots of people who've done decent stuff there. The most important thing is to create incentives for people to stay where they live. You know, it's not just the floods. Villages after villages have lost their young men because they come and work in our houses as our servants, as our watchmen, as our drivers. If you travel through the hills, you'll hit village after village that has no young men. Right? These were the young men who used to do the little things required for flood management, who used to do who used to serve the common good in whatever ways that they could. Right? We have to find ways of creating an incentive for these people to stay back. We have to, most important in this is we have to give them respect. If they survived in that hostile terrain for hundreds of years, I think they are due some respect. Once you start giving them true respect, you'll see that the same systems which could tell what to avoid, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, they had all of this. And I'm not saying everything in the past was great, right? But we can't get rid of that. We need to remember that, and we need to take it one step higher. But for that, we need to accord it dignity which is being taken away. We ought to take the indigenous out of indigenous knowledge. And a lot of the solutions will be there.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today to discuss this, and I just hope that we are able to put some systems in place and look at some indigenous knowledge, so to say, and figure something out for the future. Thank you.
Good conversations never hurt.